everybody, it's Mrs. Tellas. It's Friday of our first week of e-learning. I hope things have gone well for you. I hope you're understanding the videos and able to get those big ideas, online assignments done. I haven't heard from a lot of you, so that makes me think that you're doing okay. On Monday, we did graphing parabolas where it was y equals ax squared, and the a made it a shrink or a stretch, but they were all on the y-axis. The vertex were all 0, 0. On Wednesday, we did y equals ax squared plus c, where it moved up and down the y-axis. The vertex was 0, whatever number it was on the y, and the a still did the shrink or the stretch for it. And then today, the first part of today, we're going to learn how to graph y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So notice that I've added in the bx. Okay, so adding in this bx pulls it off the y-axis. Okay, so today, just this first part, we're going to learn how to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex when it has a bx like these do today. All right, so if we review here, we can tell if the parabola opens up or down by the A. So you can look at the A and you know whether it's up and down. So this A4 would mean it was up because it's positive. This -3 would mean it opens down because it's negative. There's no number here, so we know there's a 1 here. So that 1 means it opens up like a smile. And that -2 there means it opens down like a frown. Okay, so you can tell opening up like a smile or down like a frown just by looking at the A. Okay, that's review. All right, so another quick review. If looking at this parabola right here, we can tell that the vertex is right 2 and up 5. So my vertex is 2, 5. We can tell that this vertex is the highest point of the parabola. So this highest point is called the maximum. And the axis of symmetry is a line that's the fold line that's right down the middle of the parabola. And that axis of symmetry is x equals 2. You can see this 2 comes from that vertex right there, x equals 2. You have to have the x equals for it to be a straight line. And y-intercept, kind of hard to tell here. 4 and some change, and 0 and some change. So I don't know exactly what those are, but this is the section where we're going to be able to start figuring that out. All right, so here's the formula that you need for this section. And anytime it has a bx, you're going to need to use this formula for the axis of symmetry and for the vertex. So this is the formula right here, x equals -b over 2a. Pause your computer and write that down. We're going to use that over and over again today. And that's to find the axis of symmetry and also to find the vertex. Now the equation must be in standard form, which hopefully we're getting used to that standard form. Okay. All right, let's go to the next page. So we're going to find the axis of symmetry for this one right here, for this letter A. So under here, I'm going to write that A equals, well, A is right here. So A equals 1, B equals -6, and C equals 2. Okay, because the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So if I take the formula that I was given, it's -b over 2a equals x, and I plug in. So x equals negative. Well, b was -6, so -6 in the numerator, and 2 times 1, because 1 is a. So x equals 6 over 2, so x equals 3. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Okay, so all I've done is plug these numbers into this formula and come up with it. Okay, let's do it down here. Press pause and try to do that by yourself, please. So a equals, in this case it's -1, so we know it opens down. B is 3, and C is -2. And we're going to plug it into the formula, -b over 2a. So x equals -3 over 2 times -1. The two negatives cancel, so that's 3 over 2, or 1.5. So my answer is x equals 1.5. If you're a fraction person, you could put x equals 3 over 2 or x equals 1 and 1/2. All of those are correct. So I hope you got that right. I hope you were able to plug those numbers into the formula and then come up with what x is. All right, so to find the vertex, we do the exact same thing to find the x-coordinate. And then once we get the x-coordinate, we use that number and we plug it back into x, into the equation to come up with the y, its partner. So go ahead and write that down if you haven't already in your notes. So for the vertex, we use the x-coordinate that we come up with for the axis of symmetry. And to find the y value, we take that x value that we came up with and we solve for y in the initial equation. All right, so let's find the vertex. So we start again by naming them all. So A is 2 here, it opens up. B is -3, and C is 4. So x equals -3 over 2 times 2. Okay, so that's a +3 over 4. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 3 over 4. Then I take my 3 over 4, or my 0.75 if that makes you happier, and I plug it in here for x squared and here for x, and I use my calculator. So 2 times 3/4 squared minus 3 times 3/4 plus 4. So use your calculator and you can type the whole thing in all the way across. Go ahead and press pause and do that. So that's 2 times 9 over 16 minus 9 over 4 plus 4. So I'm actually working it out. I do not expect you to do that though. Working it in your calculator is perfectly fine. So I'm just going to plug this part in. So 18 over 16 minus 9 over 4 plus 4. I don't think that's right. I'm going to stop you here. Okay, so I found a regular calculator and I came up with 2 and 7/8 as my answer. So my vertex is 3/4, comma, 2 and 7/8. Nothing like starting with a big old fraction vertex on the first example. Let's try the second one. All right, so A is -1. You can see right there, there's a 1 in there. B is 2, and C is -6. So first we're going to do the axis of symmetry, and we're going to plug in what we know. So -2 is on top, and then 2 times -1. The two negatives make a positive, and that's just 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 1. So now to find the vertex, I take the 1 and I put it in for x in both places. So that's going to be -1 times 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 6. So again, I'm going to type this in my calculator. -1 parenthesis 1 parenthesis squared plus 2 parenthesis 1 parenthesis minus 6. I get -5 for y. So y is -5. So my vertex then is 1, comma, -5. So the second piece, when you plug this in here, feel free to use your calculator. I would definitely use those parenthesis keys and that squared button. Okay, you don't have to work all this fraction work up out here. All right, let's try the third one. Notice that the third one is missing the bx. Okay, this question could have been in 8.2. Okay, you can kind of tell what the vertex is going to be just by looking at it, because since there is no bx, this is your stretch or your shrink right here, and this moves it up and down on the y-axis since there's no bx. So I am predicting that the vertex is going to be 0, -6 because of the c right here. So let's go through the steps and see if we can tell if it's correct. So A is -2. There isn't a B, so B is 0. And C is -6. So if we use our formula, that's -0 over 2 times -2. Well, 0 over anything is 0, so x is 0, which we checked that out here, didn't we? We kind of thought it was going to be like that. Now we're going to take the 0 and put it in here for x and come up with y. Remember, f of x is just another way of writing y. So y equals -2 times 0 squared minus 6. If you type this into your calculator, you get 0. Actually, you get -6. There we go. And my vertex is 0, -6. But we knew that already. We knew that because it was in the form of y equals ax squared minus c here, or plus c. In this case, it's minus. But we knew that. We knew that was going to happen. That's from section 8.2. All right, so that's one section in your homework where you have to go through and find the axis of symmetry, and you have to find the vertex. Use that formula. That formula is going to be the only way to come up with that when it has a bx. All right, so this one says, this direction says, tell whether the function has a minimum or a maximum value, and then find the value. Well, the minimum or the maximum is the vertex in each one of these. So I just have to figure out if it opens up or down, and from there I can tell if it has a min or a max, and then I'm going to find the vertex. So it's a different way of asking you for the vertex. So this one is going to open up like a smile, which means that this is going to have a minimum, because the vertex is the lowest point on the graph if it's a smile. So this is going to be a minimum. Now to find it, I have to do exactly what I was doing before. So A equals, B equals, and C equals. So A is 5, B is 15, and C is -10. So let's plug in. X equals -15 over 2 times 5. So that is -15 over 10, or -1.5. Okay, so I've got the first part of my minimum. Now I just need the y part, which means I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to put the 1.5 in here for x. So 5 times 1.5 squared. Actually, it's a -1.5 squared, plus 15 times -1.5 minus 10. And I'm typing that into my calculator exactly how I wrote it. So 5 parenthesis, -1.5 parenthesis squared, plus 15 parenthesis, -1.5 parenthesis, minus 10. And that gives me -21.25 when I push enter into my calculator. Okay, so that is my answer. That is my minimum point, or another name for that is the vertex. So you push pause and try G and see if you come up with it. So if I go through, A is -4, B is -24, and C is -19. Now I know I keep writing C, and C is not part of the formula, but later we'll be using quadratic formula, which you will have to know what the C is, so it's just better to do A, B, and C right up off the bat. Okay, so x equals -24 over 2 times -4. All right, so negative, negative, negative. That's 3 negatives, so it makes a negative. And 24 over 8 is a -3. So -3 comma something else. So let's put -3 in here for x, here and here. -4 times -3 squared minus 24 times 3 minus 19. And I'm plugging that in. -4 parenthesis, -3 parenthesis squared minus 24 parenthesis times -3 minus 19. And that gives me 17 when I type all that in. That should be a negative right there. And this is my vertex. Now let's decide if it's a minimum or a maximum. You can tell by looking at this equation with this -a that it opens down like a frowny face, like that. So this point up here is the vertex, the highest point on the graph. That should be a maximum. And I'm just going to write max because it doesn't fit if I write the full thing out. Okay, press pause and try that. I'll let you choose. You can either try H or I. Completely up to you which one, and then I'll do both of them. So go ahead and press pause and try each of them. And then I'll come behind you and do them too. So I'm filling in my formula here. So negative 8 over 2 times 8. So there's 2 negatives, so it becomes positive. 8 over 16 is 0.5, or 1/2. You can use 1/2 or you can use 0.5. Up to you. So now I'm taking the 0.5 and I'm putting it in for x here and here to solve for y. So 8 times 0.5 squared minus 8 times 0.5 plus 6. So let's type that in. 8 parenthesis 0.5 parenthesis squared minus 8 parenthesis 0.5 parenthesis plus 6. That gives me 4 for y. So y is 4. So my ordered pair is 0.5 comma 4. That's my vertex. I know that it is opening up like a smile because it has a positive A, which makes that vertex down here at the bottom. So this is a minimum. And I'm just going to write min. Okay, and this one's got a fraction, but we have a calculator, so why do we care? So A is negative 1/4, B is 3, and C is 1. Okay, so negative B over 2A. So negative 3 over 2 times 1/4, and that 1/4 is negative. So 2 times 1 fraction 4 is 1/2. So negative 3 times negative 1, or divided by negative 1/2. Let's see what that says when I type that in. That gives me negative 6. Actually, it gives me positive 6. So my x is positive 6, and I'm plugging that in here for x, here and here, to solve for y. So negative 1/4 times 6 squared plus 3 times 6 plus 1. So let's type that in and see what it gives us. I get 10. So my vertex is 6 comma 10. And I can tell from the A, this opens down like a frown, like this, which means the vertex is up here, and it is the highest point in my parabola. So this 610 is a maximum. All right, that's how I have for you right now. So I want you to go to Big Ideas. Okay, now my guess is that you already know how to get there, but let me go through it in case you're trying to do this on paper. So it's not necessary to do this on paper. Go to the Perry Township website and click on the resource portal. Once you click on the resource portal, I'd like you to open Evaluate, which is the first link on the right-hand side, and then go to the Big Ideas app. Once you have that app open, you can click Assignments and then look for 8.3, Part 1. And that's the one that you want to fill out. That's the one that you want to do. The assignment, if you did not, if you're not doing it online, which I highly suggest you do, is 3 to 12 all, and you'll just be finding the vertex and the axis of symmetry, and 21 to 26 all, and you'll be finding whether it's a min or a max. But the same thing is finding the vertex. So you also have to come up with the opens up or down, and whether it's a min or a max. All right, well, it's been fun. I hope you understand how to graph those, or actually, I hope you understand how to find the vertex and the axis of symmetry using that formula. You're going to find that we use that negative b over 2a to find x all the time in this section.